Hello and welcome F5 community. I'm Aubrey with DevCentral, and we're here today to talk to you about an F5 Labs special report with Malcolm Heath, our senior threat researcher over at F5 Labs. Malcolm, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Aubrey. How are you?
I'm doing great. The weather's nice here in Seattle, and I'm really enjoying the tower and the work that I've been doing with Boo. But
Fantastic.
we did want to take a moment and to ask you about a new threat that you guys recently discovered called Malibot. But before we do that, can you give us a little bit of information about yourself, what you do for F5, and a little bit about Labs?
Sure. I'm Malcolm Heath. I'm a senior threat researcher with F5 Labs. F5 Labs is the group within F5 that does application threat research and strategic threat research for our customers. And you can find all of our stuff at f5labs.com or at f5.com/labs. Either one works.
So first off, I guess if you could let us know a little bit about Malibot. That is the name, correct? Yes, not Mailbot.
That's correct. Yeah, that's the way my brain read it first too. It's Malibot or Malibot. And that was actually a name coined by the discoverer of it, who is a researcher with us named Dor Nazar. So full credit for him for all of this work, and I'm just here presenting what he's done.
So I guess we should start off with the platform. What kind of impact does this have? What platforms does it affect?
So this piece of malware is exclusive to the Android operating system, so it affects mobile devices using the Android operating system.
Okay, so that's phones and tablets all the way across.
That's right.
Wow, that's a pretty big surface area to cover. That's impressive. As far as propagation is concerned, what are we looking at here? How does this thing travel?
So the main way that we saw, at least in our samples, that it was propagating was via SMS phishing or smishing. So it has essentially a little bit of code in it that the command and control server can send a command where it and a list of numbers, and those numbers will get an SMS message sent from an infected device, which will have some content in it, and that content has generally been like an advertisement for a an app that you can download. Now, there's several different ones that it's been trying to get people to click on of interest to various people. I want to be clear that none of those apps are the malware. They're just an enticement to get you to click on a link or scan a QR code in some situations that will take you to an attacker-controlled site to download the malware. Once you've done that, with the assumption that you believe that you're downloading a legitimate application, you'll go ahead and go through the whole install process, and then you'll have the malware on your device.
So one of the things that I read in the article was that it has a way of getting around Google's multi-factor authentication. How is it accomplishing that?
So yeah, it can actually get around Google's two-factor authentication. The way that this works is that the malware can steal authentication credentials such as a username and a password, but that alone wouldn't normally allow you to get logged into Google. But it does communicate those things via the command and control server to the attacker. The attacker then uses their own device, for example, to log in to your Google account and gets confronted with this MFA screen. Simultaneously, Google will send an alert to an already registered device, which will prompt the user of that device to approve the login. At that point, on the attacker's device, a number will show up, and that number has to be selected on the other device in order to complete the MFA. So this malware has the capability of allowing the attacker to enter in the number that's displayed on their screen and then have the malware actually not only click on OK at the original prompt, but also select the correct number from the list that's provided, thus circumventing the two-factor authentication quite neatly.
Does that mean then that there is a remote control portion of this application? Are they able to actually control the user's phone?
Absolutely. There's quite an extensive array of features in this malware that allows for not only this sort of thing where the malware can interact with screens that you're looking at and do things like click on OK or read text from them, but also actually pretty much uh, full capabilities for remote control. It can take screenshots. It can interact with pretty much anything on the screen. And it does that by using the accessibility API, which is part of the Android operating system and is meant for the use of people with various disabilities to be able to increase text size or otherwise manipulate their device. Um, so it leverages that to be able to essentially give the attacker full control as if they were actually there with the device in their hand.
That sounds absolutely horrifying to me. But I guess, lastly, is there really anything that we can do to guide our users to defend themselves from this?
Well, the main line of defense probably would not be allowing this malware to get installed on your device in the first place. So, from an individual Android user's perspective, the main thing is to be wary of SMS messages from people you don't know or advertising applications that you probably shouldn't click on the link. If you're interested in the application, go to the Google Store and get it from there. Don't just click on whatever link shows up in your SMS feed. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that an individual user can do. Some organizations who perhaps have these devices in their networks could look for command and control servers or look for indicators of compromise. But the best defense is probably just not allowing it to get onto your phone at all if you can.
Well, that to me sounds like the moral of the story is be careful what you click for.
Indeed, indeed.
Well, I guess if our users want to read a little bit more about that, they can visit the lab's website. We're going to share a link with everyone so that they can get the latest, greatest on this. And I guess in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us today, Malcolm. I appreciate the time, and as always, we appreciate the job that you guys do over at Labs in terms of learning all the new threats that are out there.
Thanks very much for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Thanks, F5 community, and as always, have a great F5 day.